Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Mountain Valley Farm. This is episode number 13, and we're getting started here on episode number 13. We're in the same game day that we have been in for the past two episodes, 11 and 12. And so I just basically took a break just a few minutes ago, and after I swapped out the wheels and put on the row crop tires for our Massey, our little Massey here. And so, as I had mentioned in episode definitely episode 12 and maybe even episode number 11, I was still a little bit on the fence as to how we were going to handle the third level of application, or the third fertilizer application. And so, but we have decided to go ahead and weed to get our third level of fertilization. So basically, just to kind of recap what we've done is we basically we plowed, and then we put down a application of granular fertilizer, and then we cultivated that in, and then we came around and we seeded on top of that. And basically, the seeder that we have is only a seeder. It does not have the fertilization component to it. And then after we seeded, we came along and we applied the second application of fertilizer, granular fertilizer, again to that. So as you can tell from episode number 12, I did get the silage bales wrapped, and they are here. Now what I don't know is if we can come up to a silage bale, and will it tell us how much, and it does not, I don't think. I believe that, and Farmer's Touch doesn't do it either. I believe that, I'm pretty sure that the Seasons mod does basically slow the process down for creating silage bales. So in other words, without the Seasons mod, if you don't have the Seasons mod active on your game, basically as soon as you wrap a bale, that bale or as soon as you wrap a grass bale, that grass bale will become silage, and it could be used as silage right then, immediately. I believe the silage or the Seasons mod does slow that process down, which is a good thing, because again, ultra realism here, folks. That's what I enjoy about the Seasons mod. It's what I enjoy about simulation-based games. Obviously, Farm Sim being one of my favorites. So here we are. We're basically in what we have just kind of called field number 1. It's the first field that we sort of set aside and plowed and seeded and everything. So we are here. So we will just go ahead and start right here with this weeder. So this should give us it's giving us our third level of fertilization. I'll go ahead and go on down here to the end, and we can check it on the HUD just to double check. But yeah, I can definitely see the difference there between the light and dark soil. So I was having a similar conversation with one of my friends, one of my viewers here of the channel, the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, Chris, and he and I were talking about fertilization and such as that. And it certainly is applicable here on Mountain Valley Farm, of course. Is that, whenever you sort of make the decision that you're going to try to do something that's a little bit different, whether it's going green, certainly, going green with farming is certainly something that we all would like to try to be able to do. I think it's better for the environment. It's better for us from the perspective of food and such as that, probably. But also the other sort of thing, and actually what sort of got this conversation going was we were actually talking about the fact that Chris is playing on the Lawfolds map, which is a beautiful map, really incredible. And I still will say this today, and I mean no disrespect to Mr. Jerry Ott, who obviously designed Mountain Valley Farm. I mean no disrespect to Oxygen David or to any of the other map developers, map modders that have created maps and such. But Lawfolds, to me, and this is my opinion, and of course I'm certainly entitled to my opinion, but Lawfolds, to me, in my opinion, is the best map for Farm Sim 17 that I have certainly experienced. And I think Chris was kind of alluding to that fact as well, and he's really been enjoying playing it, and he's playing it with the Seasons mod, and he currently has cows and he has sheep, following maybe sort of the course that I took for that particular map. And so we were talking about the fact that he does plan to add pigs to the mix, and pigs is something that we don't have here on Mountain Valley Farm, nor do we have sheep. We're just in the dairy business, and it's working out fine for us. But Chris was mentioning to me that he had hopes of adding pigs at some point in time, but he sort of recognized the fact that pigs are not a profit maker. They're really not. Unlike the sheep, which is sort of, the sheep, and I've said this before, I've actually said this when we were playing Lawfolds on the Lawfolds series, and if you haven't watched that series, if you're new to my channel, please check that out. It's like I said, it's one of my, it's my favorite map to date that I have basically played around with on Farm Sim 17, and I really hope that Stussy, whatever his name, however you pronounce his name, I really hope that he creates another map project, because I would certainly love to play it. So if anyone knows of whether Stussy is planning another map, something to sort of try to better Lawfolds, please let me know, because I will certainly keep that on my radar. But anyway, back to the conversation that Chris and I were having on Discord, and basically I'll plug my Discord server, my Discord channel. If you would like to try to catch me and interact with me, if you have questions and whatnot, you can certainly check out my Discord server. Just go to grizzlybearsims.com. Again, that's grizzlybearsims.com, and you can get my Discord server. So let me pause right here and get my screenshots, and I'll be right back. All right back with you. Went ahead and activated GPS just so that I can kind of concentrate a little bit more on my conversation, on my talking here, and maybe a little bit less on my driving. You guys all know my driving skills are, well, they're subject to discussion, I'm sure. But anyway, back to the conversation that Chris and I were having specific to pigs. Chris has recognized that pigs are not the sort of the profit maker like sheep are, or even like cows, for example. If you have enough cows on your farm, you can actually do quite well. You can earn probably a pretty nice living off the dairy portion of that, and maybe even selling the cows. But even if you didn't want to do that, probably the dairy portion would earn you a pretty good living, as obviously as we're doing here on this map. And so, but with the pigs are more of a cost function, because it's very difficult unless you want to investigate some of the mods that are out there. Like there is a slaughterhouse mod that our friend Farmer Klein reviewed on his channel several weeks ago. And if I think about it, I'll link to that in my underneath the video. And if I forget to do that, just because I am sort of recording in advance and trying to build back up a little bit of a buffer of videos, so if I forget to do that, even though I do watch my videos, I do sort of fast forward through them and scan them. So if I do miss that, and if I fail to put a link in that video, just go to Farmer Klein's channel and dig through his videos, and you'll find it. And I can't think of the name of it right now, but anyway, he does a very good review of the mod, and that can be quite profitable. And Farmer Klein takes the time to sort of explain how he has sort of crunched the numbers and has determined what the right chemistry is, as far as how many pigs you need to own so that essentially their reproductive rates are equal to a portion of what you would then take and sell, and you continue to do that day in and day out, or every other day, or however you want to do it. You take those pigs to the slaughterhouse, and the actual income, the money that you would make from that, is actually quite nice, quite significant. And I think at that particular point, it then turns pigs into a profit function, a profit operation. But if you don't do that, if you don't want to mess with the slaughterhouse mod, or if you're just not wanting to do that for whatever reason, pigs are not very profitable. Even selling your offspring of your pigs, your new little piggies, that's still not going to really recoup a lot of profit for you. And that is even if you are growing your own food supplies for the pigs. Even if you're taking wheat and barley, canola, corn, soybeans, whatever, even if you're potatoes or whatever, the root sugar beet or potatoes, even if you're pulling those from your fields, it's still going to be a little bit difficult to make money with the pigs. But the things that the pigs do produce, unlike the sheep, and again, I've sort of talked about this in my Lawfold series when we were raising sheep, is that pigs will produce both solid manure and liquid manure or slurry. And of course, if you are trying to go green on your farm, obviously that is the byproduct of raising pigs, adding pigs to your mix of animals. Of course, cows also produce slurry and solid manure just like the pigs do. But if you're looking at producing even more, having another source of providing liquid manure and solid manure, then obviously pigs is an option for you. So, but just like getting into anything that's sort of green, like say, for example, let's say you want to buy a hybrid automobile. Okay, so you want to go out and go to whichever dealer is selling hybrids, or even if you wanted to go a full electric, even if you wanted to throw down on a Tesla model, whatever. The cost of owning a car like that, whether it be a hybrid, so sort of gasoline slash electric, or a full electric car, the maintenance and upkeep of that vehicle is going to be more expensive than it is for a traditional, just fossil fuel gasoline powered vehicle. The batteries cost more. The maintenance of the vehicle itself is going to cost more. So taking it just to get something as simple as an oil change done is going to be a lot different, dare I say more expensive than your traditional fossil fueled automobile. But we do these things, and no, I don't own a hybrid vehicle, although my new Ford Escape that I just purchased a couple of weeks ago, or we just leased a couple of weeks ago, does have a pretty cool feature that if you're stopped at a stoplight, your car is still in drive. If I've got my foot on the brake, it will shut the engine off temporarily, and then when I let off the brake, the engine will start back up. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem child for me, but we'll see how it goes. And of course, I've got a switch where I can turn that feature off if it's like really hot or really cold or something like that. Oops, wrong button. Sorry about that. I was due to hit that button. So anyway, but again, sort of case in point is that the conscious decision to do something that's maybe a little bit better for the environment, a little bit cleaner, whatever, there's a little bit more upkeep to that. There's a little bit more cost associated to that. So we don't necessarily, one might think, well, I'm going to go out and buy a hybrid because I'm going to save all this money on gasoline. Well, it may not work that way, especially when gas is as cheap as it is today, in today's time frame, versus what it was 4 or 5 years ago or so. But anyway, I digress. Let's get off the subject of the automobiles, but back to the pigs. If you are going to try to do any sort of green farming, in other words, if you're going to try to take advantage of doing away with your chemical-based fertilizers, whether they be spray or whether they be solid granular type fertilizer, then it's going to cost you a little bit more money, I think, up front, especially up front. Your upfront costs are going to be a lot more expensive because you're going to have to invest in a large herd of animals. You're going to have to invest in a lot of cows. You're going to have to invest in a lot of pigs, and obviously early on you may have to buy either pig food straight up, or you may have to buy, as in the case that we did here on Mountain Valley Farm, you may have to buy some silage bales, some hay bales, some straw bales, etc., to get your operation going. Especially if you're going to be doing the seasons mod, where it really does control what you can do, when you can do it, and how you can do that. So if you're not using the seasons mod, if you're just churning through your growth cycles and your tasks and everything, then obviously you can go from nothing to having your coffers full of money and resources to do whatever you want to do within a few game days. But when you are playing with the seasons mod, as I've sort of demonstrated and illustrated through my channel in the last 5 or 6 months, you see how everything is much slower process. I mean, we're 13 episodes in. I've probably got 20 or maybe 30 hours into this map, all the logging and everything that I did off camera. I've got a considerable investment in this in time, but yet we haven't even harvested anything yet. We don't have anything even getting ready to be harvestable. I mean, this was the first field that we planted, and as you can kind of tell, we're just sort of in the first growth stage here, and so it's going to be a little while before we can reap the benefits of having straw, for example. So I think we've got just a few bales of straw left, so we may actually be looking at trying to find some straw from a neighboring farmer or a neighboring community somewhere down the road to be able to fulfill our needs until we can get our first harvest in, which obviously these two fields, this field that we're in here is wheat, and the field that is just in front of us is barley, if you remember correctly. So that's sort of your trade-off, and that's really where the conversation between Chris and I was sort of going, because it is sort of a decision that you kind of, I guess, need to make as far as the piggies go, is if you are looking for an animal that's going to provide you with a lot of the return on investment and everything, and actually going to become a profit maker, then your sheep is going to be your number one choice for that, because they basically will consume grass or hay. So you can feed them, and you can, as long as they've got hay and as long as they've got water, they will remain at 100% productive year round. And of course, the seasons mod does control their wool production, which is a realistic thing for it to do. But as you've seen with law folds and everything, there's a lot of money to be made on wool, especially if you can time it with the great demands and that sort of thing. So again, I guess my point is the conversation that Chris and I was having is that, well, pigs aren't going to make you a lot of money. And as a matter of fact, I think there's been some conversations taking place over at PCSG doing just that. A lot of people have been sort of crunching the numbers. Mark DuPont actually did a video series directly after he finished up with Mountain Valley, where he tried to make a go at raising pigs, and basically realized that you couldn't do that unless you do some other method, unless you like bring in a slaughterhouse type mod or something that's going to give you something that you could basically sell your pigs to, and that will actually bring in more profit than what just sort of the base game is going to give you. Because let's face it, the base game in and of itself, how it's sort of set up, is not going to give you a whole lot of money earning potential. But again, it's kind of a subconscious thing that we do. If we want to try to save some money, if we want to try to do something that's a little bit better for the environment, then obviously we take those things into consideration. So it was a great conversation that Chris and I had, and your mileage may vary, so definitely do your research. And of course, I'm talking about playing on hard mode, and that's what Chris is playing on Lawfolds. It's what I'm playing on Mountain Valley Farm. And of course, all the mechanics and everything are completely different if you're playing on easy or on medium. And as I have said countless times, and I will go to my grave, my virtual farm sim grave, saying that there is no right or wrong way in playing these games. It's however you it's however you want to depict things. It's completely up to you. So, if you want to play in easy mode, if you want to play in the medium level, or if you want to play in hard, and if you want to go with something like this map here, which is even, there's no such mode as extra hard mode, but what Mr. Jerry Ott has basically developed into this version of the map, especially with all the trees and everything, is that it basically is what I would consider extra hard mode, and it's how he even has it classified, because you do have so much work that you've got to do before you can really even consider starting to plan something. So there. So again, your mileage may vary. And I will just give a shout out. I don't have YouTube pulled up here, so I can't see who left the comment, but somebody had commented on one of my episodes while I was on vacation, talking about the fact that they really weren't into logging, but they were sort of appreciative at the way that I did it, by sort of just allowing the process to sort of tell a story, but not indulge in a dozen episodes of nothing strictly but logging, which I could have probably made it go 6 or 7 or 8 episodes of doing nothing but logging, just because that's pretty much how much time, if I sort of factor in that each of my episodes is around 30 to 40 minutes or so, that's about how much time that I actually spent off camera doing the logging, picking the logs up and all that kind of stuff. And even though I used the equipment that sort of makes light work of that task, it still is a time-consuming thing. But it was fun, and again, hearing from my viewers, hearing from my audience, is definitely something that I very much enjoy, hearing from you all, hearing how you're playing these maps. And I would love to hear from anyone who happens to be playing this version of Mountain Valley Farm. Now, there are 2 different versions of Mountain Valley Farm. There is sort of the standard version, which has all the fields defined, and you can basically play that map from day one. You can go and sink a plow or a cultivator or a seeder into any of your fields, pending you don't have the Seasons mod installed. And then of course there is this version here, which you guys have seen, and if you are just coming in on this series, and if you haven't watched episodes, starting from episode, I think I called it episode 0, where I sort of set the stage as to what we were doing and why we were doing it and all that kind of stuff, then I invite you to sort of go back and check out those episodes, because I think you'll get a better understanding of what this map is all about, and why we've sort of made some of the decisions that we've made, and why we've set things up. And just to sort of recap again, I think I cut down over 300 trees just here on this top level. So we've got 4 fields that are up here on the top level. We've got this field, which we're on here, which is barley. That field is wheat. The other 2 fields over there are canola. And then we've got 2 fields down below, but it was basically, hard work in every step of the way. So good stuff there. So anyway, hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. I know I normally try to mention that, or try to say that at the early stage of the videos, but it just sort of slipped my mind in doing that. So I do hope everyone is having a good time. I hope your summer is going well. If you're a young person, you're out of school, whether it be grade school, high school, college, whatever, junior high, whatever. I hope you're enjoying your summer, and I hope that you will basically strive to make every day of your summer count, because you only have so many weeks, about 3 months, I guess, your typical school year, where you have summer break, if you go to that type of a scheduled type school concept. So make every day count. Don't sleep till noon every single day. Definitely get your rest and everything, but don't sleep your summer away. Get out there, do some things. It was kind of interesting, because new young people today are a lot different than young people were when I was growing up. And one of my colleagues at work, one of my best friends, he his son is a teenager, 13 years old, about 14 years old, I guess now. And he has a summer job mowing yards in his neighborhood. And he and a friend of his basically split the money down the middle. They have about 10 yards that they do a week. They're charging 25 bucks a yard, so do the math. They're making some pretty good bank. I can remember that when I used to mow yards, and of course here in the city, yards are quite small, and the neighborhood that my friend lives in, or the yards are fairly small to medium, I would say. Now, I grew up in Texas where everything is sort of bigger and, well, I say better, but we'll let the jury decide on that. But in any event, where I grew up, the yards were fairly good size, and I only made about 10 bucks a yard back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And that included mowing, weed eating, sweeping the sidewalks, bagging grass, all that kind of stuff. And again, they were fairly large yards, taking me, a couple of hours to complete. So these kids are cranking these things out. I think they mow two days a week. They do Fridays and Saturday mornings, and they basically get everything done that they need to get done. And it's just pretty cool, and I'm really excited that they've done that. So if you are a young person and you're working, doing a summer type job like that, then that's cool, and I take my hat off to you. And hope you're having a great summer. If you're an older person like myself, or like some of our other viewers, then I too hope that you're enjoying your summer, and I hope that you are spending some time with family and doing things, maybe on vacation or whatnot. And I hope you're enjoying your vacation. I certainly enjoyed mine. And as a matter of fact, my wife and I booked the cabin again for October. So we'll be back up there for my birthday again in October, and just enjoying the beauty that is that part of Colorado and the Rocky Mountain National Park. And so I'm actually quite looking forward to it, to be honest. My wife and I were recently talking because, as you know, we came back from Estes Park a few days before we had to go back to work, and part of that was just to sort of give ourselves some mental preparation before we had to, as Eustace Farmer said in one of his comments, before I strapped the ox bow or ox harness on myself and go back to work. We were actually talking that we regret the fact that we chose to come back so early. I think that ideally, if we had to do it again, we would have stayed probably another 2 days, maybe come back on Saturday instead of on Wednesday, just to try to squeak out just a couple of more days in the cooler weather and everything. It hit 100 degrees today here in Denver, and of course I'm still building a stockpile of videos. So it's the 6th, it's Thursday the 6th of July, so technically I'm still on vacation as I record this, but trust me, I'll be back at work with probably a pretty good size headache by the time you get around to watching this video. But in any event, we are sort of counting the days till we can get a chance to go back there and enjoy it, because it's just such a peaceful thing to be up there. We don't, while we sort of did some activity type things with some hiking and stuff like that, and I told you all about the moose and in the previous video, and I'm not going to go back through that story again, but we also quite enjoy just sitting. There's a river that runs right in front of the cabin called the Fall River, and it comes right out of Rocky Mountain National Park, and we can sit there in a chair and just enjoy hearing the river and the smells, the sounds, nature, and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of funny because there is a highway that runs sort of in front of the cabin there, but the river is the noise from the river, the water rushing through by the river, with the exception of some loud Harley Davidsons that might come motoring through every now and again. It really does drown out just the average normal noise of an automobile, of a four-wheel automobile. and you can just sort of get lost in your book or whatever it is that you're doing, or just even like me, just kind of staring into the water and just sort of being all mesmerized and everything with the flowing water, the way it ripples over the rocks and all that kind of stuff. And so, that was one of the reasons why I moved to Colorado, was, sort of that mental impression of how things are here in the Rocky Mountains. And it's an incredible place to live and to go and visit and everything. And I'm just so very fortunate that we have the opportunity to do that. And my wife enjoys doing those same things and everything. So as I glance over at my timer, it's telling me that I have been babbling on about probably a lot of about nothing, talking about green farming and pigs and hybrid cars and Estes Park, and teasing you all about the fun time that we had and everything. So about 32 minutes in, my voice is starting to sort of feel it, because I did record 3 episodes today. I recorded 2 farm sim episodes and a Euro truck sim episode that I haven't quite decided if you guys are going to see that yet or not. I sort of got trolled a couple of times while on the multiplayer server by a guy that was trying to block the roads and everything, but I may go ahead and put the episode out there where you can kind of see how this guy was behaving and everything. But in any event, I think I'm going to start my wrap up here on this episode number 13 of the very wonderful and beautiful Mountain Valley Farm series map here. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I do sort of have an idea what's going to be the next map that's going to come along and replace this at some point in time. It is a map that I first saw probably a couple of months ago. And I actually saw Disco playing it, and I know that Reefy 1952 has spent a little bit of time on it on his channel, and it is something that I think is going to be quite interesting. I think it's going to be quite fun with the Seasons mod. The delay, obviously, in bringing it to you is the fact that obviously I've got a lot of other things going on. I've tried to diversify my channel and trying to bring in some additional content for you to watch and to enjoy, and for me to enjoy playing, because remember, that's sort of why I do this. But also the other thing is that it's still yet to be determined whether this map is actually going to get released. And I have, I've told you all that I felt really bad with the whole Seasons mod thing, about using a mod that was not generally available to all, to each and to all. And so if this other map that I've got my eyes on, if it doesn't get released, then I'm not going to play it, or I'm not going to play it and put it on YouTube. Just simply because I don't want to do that. I don't want to tease you guys in doing something, playing something, using something that isn't readily available for each and for all. So I won't do that. I'll find something else to play. So it's still, like I said, right now it's still sort of up in the air as to whether or not it's going to be released. I'm pretty sure it's seasons ready. Yeah, I'm pretty confident it's seasons ready. So should be quite easy for us to step into it and get started on the map and everything. Should we again want to play it, and again, should it actually be officially released? I do have a copy of it. I've had several copies. I've had several copies as they have sort of worked through some issues and everything, and so I do have the latest and greatest, and again, just sort of waiting to find out if it's going to get officially released. And if that does happen, then once we get done with this series, then I will start that map up. So anyway, about 35 minutes here or so and some change, and I'm gonna just wind this thing down and tell you all thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I know I say this on every episode. I talk about the fact how much I appreciate you guys watching. These are not just words. They really are. It really does come from my heart, And I understand that, you know, people can say things and people can do things and everything, and I would just ask you to give me the benefit of the doubt. And as you continue to get to know me through my YouTube channel and through interactions with me on Discord or through the Three Dudes Gaming Network or PCSG or emailing, or if we happen to run into each other, maybe someday on the Fall River there in Estes Park, that you will understand that, you know, I am who I am, and I am, you know, the same type of person in real life that I am here in the virtual life. And I really, really do appreciate you guys watching my channel as my chair squeaks, and I just appreciate that. And you're all very much friends of mine, and you're just tremendous, tremendous people. And I just really enjoy doing this for you. I enjoy putting these videos out there for you guys to watch. And you know, it's getting kind of late. It's 8 o'clock in the evening. You know, Ma's going to have dinner on pretty soon now. She's expecting me to come in about 8:30 or so, and I guess that's probably going to be about the time that we're going to get this all done. I'll get that other field done over there, and then everything, all of our fields up here on top will all be up to the max level of fertilization, and basically we don't have to do anything until the crops come in. So that will all be obviously a good thing. So until that time, please tune back in again for the next episode, episode number 14. Not really sure what we're going to be doing in episode 14, but it will be obviously a new game day that we will be enjoying together, and we'll figure all that out. You know, we still have some grass work that we need to do. We need to basically mow some more so that we can make hay, because we've obviously made silage, and I think I've already done this stretch here. So let me just check that. But anyway, yep, we've already done that. So I'll get over to the other field. So we need to cut some grass for hay purposes. We've got our silage bales, or at least we've got some silage bales. We'll probably try to get a second cutting in on all of the fields that we've been mowing and everything. We'll try to do that. But in any event, I think I just need to say bye and stop talking and go ahead and click stop on the software and send you all on your way to doing other things, getting on with your day and everything. Thank you for watching my channel. You guys are great people, and I appreciate it all so much. God bless you all. Take care, and see you in episode 14. Bye-bye.